Hello. I wasn't planning on recording this, but I'm gonna anyway. This is weird. Just a weird story I want to tell. Normally, I would think about telling this stuff and talking about this stuff, and then just never actually do it. But why not? You know. So for first of all, actually, let me set the mood here. I'll leave this running. I'm not gonna edit this video. I'm just gonna record. This is what the room looks like without the background lights on. Watch me transform it as I clunk around. There, that's better. So I wish I wish I could like take all of the backstory information of my life and just like Neo from the Matrix, just like plug it in so you can like fully understand like where I'm coming from in terms of my whole life. But like the story I want to tell is kind of like a spiritual weirdness, that universe stuff that I don't know, it's like hard to ignore. So my my whole life, kind of as long as I can remember, and I guess when I say that, it really means since I was like probably like 17 or 18, I would guess. um I've had this feeling in my head that like, so like I don't know if you guys are the same. In here, inside of me, like if you're Josh, inside of there is like a tiny little room where me, the real me, like my being is safely in a room behind everything, all the stories I've told about myself in various ways, all the material things, all the flesh, all the freaking decorations, the earrings, the clothing, the fear, the anxiety, the joy, the jokes, all that. Behind all of that, there's like, for me, it just feels like there's this like safe little room where I've always been, just like the real me is, that like can exist safely and be whatever it wants to be, whoever he wants to be, safely, like, you know what I mean, outside of any judgment. I don't know if I kind of like, I think I just kind of always assumed everybody feels the same way, but that's how it like, that's the best way to put it into words. But so since I was 18, let's just use 18. I've always had this, that me in there has felt like I could be in some way, shape, or form part of changing the world for the better, whatever that means. And that it could be visions of being up on a stage as like a musician and grabbing the microphone and saying some profound shit. I guess what it comes down to is I feel like, and I will say this, I had some extremely amazing and spiritual experiences, taking psychedelic mushrooms in my in my teens and 20s, like a handful of times that were it's really hard to explain, and I sort of don't even really remember it, but it makes you aware of the connection, whatever the energy is that connects everything in the universe, and all that shit we don't understand because we can't understand it because it's too big and beyond us to understand. Whatever you want to, like, the loose word is God here, but like, I don't like that word because it draws a specific relation for most people. But the spiritual thing, the oneness of the universe, the energy, the force, whatever it is, you really feel it, and that's never left me. And I've always just kind of had this feeling that there's, like, if I could just put everybody in my head for a second and let you feel that understanding of the simple connectedness and oneness and like love that is everything, I don't know. I've just always kind of felt like I just wish I could just like somehow transmit that to everyone, and then the world would somehow be better. And I've kind of felt like this delusion of, or in my mind, it was a delusion that the real me, if I could ever muster up the courage to be that person, would be someone that was a person that could change a lot of people, help inspire change in a lot of people in the world, and spread, love. And I've been a very, very angry, resentful. I am not in any way, shape, or form saying that. Like I wish, I wish I could follow what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? Like it's like I knew the answers, but I don't. I also struggle to even implement them myself. If that makes any sense. But anyway, so like that's the backstory here, and so 5 years ago, well, 13 years ago, my first biological child was born, and I feel like that started what was like a deep downward turn for me in coming face to face with like all the shit that I had to deal with from my life. All the stuff that I was projecting out or ignoring or didn't realize. It was specifically tied to becoming a parent and getting into my 30s. That stretch of time. Like I had a stepdaughter, but once it was my own biological child, and that tied in my family in a different way, it kind of sent me on this slow dive downward towards a bottom, I guess you would say, of needing to, it was like time to reckon with some shit. And the longer I put that off, the worse, like the further away from myself I got. And 5 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, I don't know. Yeah, I guess 5, maybe, I don't know. 5 years ago, I got to a point where I was ready to give up. I was like, I can't. I was ready to kill myself. Like, I didn't make a plan. It wasn't anything romantic like in the movies. I just couldn't see. I had zero hope left for a future, for even a tomorrow. It was just a bottom, a point. And from that, obviously, I'm here now talking to you. So my choice was I did something very different and weird and bold, and I severed a relationship with my parents. And that was like that was a decision I made. This is why it's significant. Is that was a decision I made on my own. Like I didn't even tell anybody. That was like I wrote a letter because when I need to express how I feel, either speaking it out like this when I'm not actively interacting with a person, or writing it down, typing it out, tends to be how I find it, that I'm very successful with expressing myself in that way. So that's what happened, and it was the most difficult choice I've ever made, easily. Definitely didn't, it was like 10 years in the making, and I think it was also one of the best things I've ever done, like the most brave things I've ever done, especially because it wasn't just like that was it was over. I had to walk the walk after that and be the person that wrote that letter, like live up to what I expressed in that. And that has it wasn't like an instant miraculous change at all, and it led me down that was like where if I was going down on a slope before, that was when things started to go up in a better direction slowly. And throughout all of this, alcohol was a part of my life. I was never like I don't think I ever really got drunk. It was always just like the right amount of medication to get me to a place where that shit wasn't affecting me anymore, that kind of a thing. And also, I really enjoyed marijuana. Like, again, it was like a nighttime, like, so I could go to sleep. It helped, it was a medicine to the solution to that not leaving me awake at night or invading my dreams, even though I wasn't like consciously. I was just enjoying it. It was relaxing and it was nice. Like, it wasn't consciously like I need to medicate this thing. I just think I enjoyed it because it was medicating that stuff. And I'd here and there I'd stop drinking or whatever, or take a break. But it was always like funny, even when it came to like feeling happy, it was like when I would start to feel good, I would also feel like I need to like drink, because it's like I don't think I trusted feeling good, and it made me scared. So again, it felt like that need to like balance it out with like alcohol as a medicine. But so this past like October, November was when I started listening to a few podcasts, because with my job, I've been working for a landscape company for 23 years. With that job, I have a lot of time to listen to stuff, and it's been great. Thanks to podcasts for like allowing me to take in some amazing conversations, because I love listening to people share their weird wisdoms about the world and life and stuff like that. And I had stumbled across one that had to do with like business stuff, and it was an interesting conversation about the person. I wasn't in for the business stuff, but it got me on this like. I found another podcast too. It was it was like people that had started something, founded things or invented things or whatever, and um, so it from listening to other people talk about who they are as people and their stories with starting stuff, all of a sudden in my head I was like, holy shit, like I think I want to like pursue like maybe making this happy little boards thing a thing, like do some YouTube, do a YouTube channel, like do that, because I had the idea again, like it was in the me locked in there in that room was like doing that idea and had that idea floating around, and it just never came out. And then I was like, for some reason in my head I was like, okay, I could like see it, you know what I mean? I was like, okay, this makes sense. This is like this. It just felt like the right thing to do. Weirdly enough, I don't know. And so I let my brain start actually like pursuing that. And then in December, I got like a little stupid cold. It was like the middle of December, a couple weeks before Christmas. And, I do not enjoy being sick. And when that happens, especially because I'm prone to sinus infections, I was like, I'm just not going to drink or smoke because I just want this freaking cold to go away. And I don't know. And that was also when I think that was right when I made the first YouTube video. Or at least like set it up to make it. And then that was when Happy Little Boards became more like real in my head as this thing that could be like the next thing for me. And for whatever reason, since then, I have not. I literally like I have been dead sober. And it's I'm not fighting the urge to drink at all or smoke. I grew some weed and like I have it sitting there. It's like it's in my jars in storage. Like I just literally have not felt like it, and it's so bizarre to me that it was just like this weird switch flipped, and it was like who I am changed. So it also led to 2 weeks of intense like full body physical like anxiety. Like I was spinning out. I got through it thanks to talk therapy. I have a great therapist who I love, and he helped me through it, and a couple of friends, and just all of the people that have shared amazing wisdom and tools and stories through podcasts and books and shows and all that stuff. So like, shout out to the good side of the internet and all that stuff. But so I, in that realm of things, I've always been looking for different books or whatever that are on this subject of anxiety and mental health stuff, because the more I can understand, the more I hear language to help me understand the things that are going on inside of me, the more success I have in managing that and giving myself grace with how my brain actually works, and thinking of it in terms of like, oh, that's just like something that doesn't work for my brain. It's not something that's wrong with me, and maybe my strength of my brain lies over here, not over there, and I don't need to force that thing or whatever. I really didn't. I had no self worth like my whole life. That was like kind of like one of the main things, and it's understanding, thanks to others, how our brains can work has been probably the greatest thing to happen to me in terms of allowing myself to be more of who I really am, to take the locks off the door of that person up there. And it's it's been a challenge, like, to be patient and to trust and have faith in the process of like just starting this thing and going with it, and letting it lead me in terms of starting, like, trying to make and sell pedal boards that people want to buy, start a business to, support my life in a different way so I can change my life and have it match the life that I know I want to live. And then also starting this video thing, because that's very new for me. And even in terms of music that I make, like, I've had to surrender and let it lead me and be open and see where it's going to go, rather than forcing it to go where I think it should go. And that usually, my thoughts of that usually come from what I'm thinking other people would think I should do, or other people are expecting me to do. It's always, I'm projecting outward and pulling from others instead of letting my intuition and faith in the process guide me. That was like the lesson I've been going through since I started this Happy Little Boards thing. Now, one of the podcasts that started me on this road had a guest, Martha Beck. The podcast is Diary of a CEO, by the way. Check it out. There's a guest on there, Martha Beck. She spoke some amazing things about anxiety, and she's an author. I listened to her book, Beyond Anxiety. It was weirdly like perfect timing for me to be experiencing this book. It was spiritual in a way that made me uncomfortable, because it's like, even though no one is even hearing or seeing what's going on in my head, like letting myself say to myself that, yeah, you believe in this shit. Like, I'm not religious. Like, I don't like religion, but like, I believe, and I'll spell out my beliefs or my whatever imagined wonders of what the driving force is and whatever of the universe. But like, I believe in it. I believe that it's a thing. Like, we're shattered bits of a whole thing that exploded, and there's a pull and like, we're all connected in that way. Long story short, so I read that book, and at the end she talks about someone else whose name I didn't remember, and things that he would have people do in their meditation, which I thought was interesting. And meditation has been something that has always been something I wished I could do and thought about a lot, and always thought about it in terms of, because of how it feels for me when I try to like sit, the cliche thought of like the monk sitting in the garden or in the temple, clearing their mind and only focusing on the breath and all that stuff. Like, the way my brain works, that seemed impossible, and I believed 100% that I would never be able to do that. I still haven't proven that I can, although I know I can. I can do a lot of things. Pretty much anything I've ever been super interested in doing, I've at least learned enough to do it at a beginner level. Why wouldn't I be able to do something that so many people can do, and that's such a good thing to even... Why would I not even give it a shot? So that I've been open to, especially now with the surprise sobriety, to meditation. Well, and I've been, my wife has an exercise program that we can do on the TV in the basement here, and I've been keeping up with my exercise too, and a lot of that has been like stretching and, I don't know, just getting in tune with my body and opening up a lot of that as well, because I'm tight and I'm clenched. And so meditation has been something that is on my to-do list, and it's been scratching at the door for me to let it in. And I started back up this spring at my landscape job, and in the spring we have a setup, and we have bare root, it's just like the little woody nubs of perennials with their roots, and we put them in pots with soil to grow for the year. And that's like the first thing I start doing, so plenty of time to listen to things while we're doing that. And so I put on a newer episode of that podcast, and I don't even think it had meditation in the title, but the guy that was on it was talking about meditation, but in like a quantum science perspective, and there's a lot of language and a way of explaining it that I'd never heard before, and it kind of like slapped me in the face, and I was like, oh my god. So he had some books, so I was like, all right, headed over to Audible and got the book of his to listen to. And here's the weird part, is like, so today is Thursday, March 20th. This Sunday that just passed is when I recorded the episode of the Happy Little Board Show that will come out this coming Sunday. In that episode, there's a moment where I say, I'm talking about ADHD stuff, and I say how I can imagine all these futures and paths for myself, like imagine them so clearly that I can emotionally react to them and feel them, and that then in turn, because there's nothing wrong with imagining that, but like the issue that comes in with me is the anxiety, which is trying to predict the future and is usually predicting that bad things will happen, and colors that entire thing with negativity and fear, which leads me to not ever pursue those kinds of paths, or to hesitate, or to even pursue them, but always hold this belief, like just waiting for the shoe to drop and the bad thing to happen, and for it to all fall apart, and for me to end up miserable and back to the place where I started, which has seemed to be always what happens. That's what anxiety is coloring my wants, my visions of myself for the future and the potential that I would love to have. I'm letting this guy imagine these things, in the future, and then the anxiety, the other parts of my brain are coming in and saying that. I'm explaining that. And so I'm listening to this book 2 days ago. It was Tuesday after, it was either Tuesday or Wednesday. This is after I've said this and recorded this video. And I don't have the exact spot, but my God, he was talking about the meditation, and he said, in order to manifest the future that you want, this isn't a direct quote, I'm paraphrasing. He said, you have to be able to meditate and imagine a future for yourself and live in that future in your mind so well that you emotionally feel that reality. He said what I said. And this book has been out, I think, for like 3 years, 2 years. I don't know. It's not new. And it's just, the sobriety thing is so weird to me. I wish I could, like, again, I wish you could just like see my whole life or know it, so that you could see how bizarre it was. Just random, and it was like, it wasn't even like a choice. It was just like, I don't have any desire anymore. And I'm not like against it or anything. Like, if I had a real good reason to try a drink, I would try a drink. Like, it doesn't matter. It's not gonna like change. I didn't need the medicine anymore. And then I make more of these videos and I say something, and then this book comes along and he says the same shit. And then there was another moment where he's explaining, like, he's explaining like what I'm going through. And it just, it's weird to me, because I can't fucking ignore the fact that it's literally like the universe is slapping me in the face. And I'm not saying this in any way, shape, or form to like brag that this is happening. In fact, I hesitated. It's been like 4 hours since I thought about telling this story on camera and sharing it, because it's kind of like, this has probably been kind of boring. I'm just rambling, but this is how I talk. This is how I tell things. But like, I don't know, man. I'm sharing this because if you're hearing me say this and it feels like the universe is slapping you in the face, I don't know, like, maybe follow that feeling or freaking send me a message or something. I don't know. Maybe that means we're on the same team. I don't know. I'm sick of not saying it. It's the thing. The things that are in my heart are all good things, and it's like I'm like embarrassed to talk about it. Like, I don't know. I really believe that, like, if we all just open up and like talk, like if we all just say this stuff, like, and say these things that we're feeling, like, I'm not saying any of this is like you all have to go through this same exact thing. I'm just telling you, like, something's fucking happening with me, and it's kind of freaking me out, man, in a good way. And I think it means something. And I think the way the world changes is that more people just say this weird shit. Like, see, weird shit's happening. There's other things. There's other parts of this, but like, that's I literally, he said what I said after I said it, but he said it before. I just didn't know he had said it. And then I somehow found this